As a result of the semester, I believe that I learned how to address conflict in a virtual setting. And I think at first, no one really wanted to step on anyone's toes, especially since we don't know each other. And I don't think anyone wanted to come off too strong and seem like they weren't being a team player. But I think as we got to know each other and we realized that we were all in it to essentially achieve the same thing and just produce the most efficient output, I think we realized that okay, this brainstorming session shouldn't be seen as being combative. It should just be seen as being productive. And how can I apply this to my future jobs or projects? So I think throughout the semester we used a wide array of technology. So we shared instructions through video. We shared instructions through the Team Hub on Canvas. We created GroupMe polls. And I think when you enter that work setting, you also have to realize that you have access to all of this technology to communicate with your peers. So I could Skype someone if we're working remotely from each other, or I could simply walk over to my peers, cubicle, or I could shoot him an email. But I think it's important to realize when those different mediums are most effective. So maybe if you're going through the negotiation process, it would be important to do that face-to-face, just so that there's no the tone isn't lost in the translation. So I feel like sometimes if you're being critical of an idea, if you're doing that through email, someone might take it the wrong way. So it might just be better to do that in a personal, face-to-face meeting. Whereas if you're going through the brainstorming process, it may be more conducive to do that, through a GroupMe poll, through a discussion board post, just because people may be more willing to share their ideas if they know that they're not immediately going to get shot down. And I think when you post on discussion board posts, you think about what you say and what manner you're saying it in. And so, whereas if you were to dislike an idea in person, your body language might show that and make another individual feel uncomfortable. Whereas if you're on a discussion board post saying, hey, I don't think this is the right route for us to take, you can take a second to process how you want to convey that idea. What are my strengths from the Dressler and Johnson text? So this past week, we talked about why communication is sometimes ineffective. And I brought up the example of when I was on the executive board of an RSO at our university. We were expected to complete tasks over the summer months. And I would often get frustrated because people wouldn't respond in a timely manner, or they would just straight up not respond at all. And it was just kind of why am I the only person that's reaching out? But when we learned about competition barriers, I think it occurred to me that these people have professional lives outside of this RSO. So my email can easily be getting lost in all of the emails that also relate to their personal life or their professional life. And I think while I can sit back and kind of realize that now, I think in the moment that wasn't in my headspace essentially. So that I think was a really important thing for me to learn and be able to recognize. And we also talked about influence tactics. And I think as a result of that conversation, I realized what influence tactics I personally use the most and which influence tactics are most effective on me. And in both of those situations, I found that rational persuasion is the most effective. And it involves proposing evidence and creating, I wouldn't say arguments, but explanations of why I should execute these tasks. And I just enjoy that tactic, or I shouldn't say enjoy it, but it works most effectively on me because I enjoy having a goal in mind when I perform certain things, and I enjoy knowing what my end goal should be achieving, if that makes sense. And I also recognize that certain influence tactics may be more successful in different environments and situations. And so when working in my ALEC 433 course, where we are presenting to various professional organizations. I think that the consultation tactics works best on me, and I think it's just because we were all trying to achieve the same goals. So it helps if people are like, does my work meet the expectations or the goals that we set in the beginning of this? Or how would you like for me to revise this before I post it on the team website? And I think that's just because we all realize that we're all getting graded together, and so it's almost like comforting to know that someone is checking in with the status of the team. So what's one thing I want to improve on in the future? I would say that I want to improve on my ability to delegate tasks. I think when we were put in the supervisor roles, it was like, oh, like, there's 90 points on the line. Like, I need to try to execute as many different tasks as I want so, like, I can prove that I did something this week. And I think we hit a point where it was like, it's not working for one person to take control of everything. I think I became better at, but I also need to continue to improve on my ability to delegate and kind of sit back and trust my team members. And so that's something that I look forward to improving on in the future.